This webisode of Waterways is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha revs your heart. Boat Blurb, inspired boating content. Become a subscriber today. And St. Clair Boat Sales, turning boaters' dreams into reality.
The temperature's rising, you're feeling the heat. All you ever wanted it to be. The summer of you. Do all the things you want to do. The summer of you.
Welcome to Waterways. This week we're coming to you from an area that's a true boater's paradise, but one that also has a fascinating maritime history, vital to Canada's independence. Every marina has sort of a different management structure and the right person to talk to. Sometimes it's the owner, sometimes it's a manager, sometimes it's a longtime resident. But here at Central Marine in Midland, it's the big guy. Logan, how are you, buddy?
Good. You?
Living the dream. So, I've only been here a couple times. You've generously let me use this boat. Where should I go? Where do people go when they're boating out of here?
Well, I could say Giant's Tomb is a good place.
Cool.
Discovery Harbour and...
Oh, that's the place with like the old ships and stuff, I
Yeah.
think, right? Okay.
You could go up to Honey Harbour.
Cool. So we got Discovery Harbour, Honey Harbour, Giant's Tomb. You get into the Trent Severn from here, I think, right? It's not far, is it?
No, not that far. Yeah, there's lots of nice places.
Very cool. You got it all. I love it. Okay. Well, I know you got a lot to do here managing this whole operation.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
Yeah?
I'm just the little boss, not the big boss.
Hey, the little boss is still the boss. Okay, well, I'll take good care of this and I'll bring it back just like I found it.
10 minutes. Is that good?
We'll see. It'll be 10 minutes after editing. Does that count?
Deal.
All right. Georgian Bay is too massive for a single episode, so we're focused on the southern tip, starting in Midland. And right away, you notice a couple big things. First is this massive mural painted on the side of a still active flour mill. This can be seen even when freighters are docked here and unloading. The second is this 110-foot tug docked here, the MV Prescotont. This is actually a private vessel, and one that we'll get a closer look at later in the show. But first, let's get into that history. And the best place to start is here at Discovery Harbour.
Or as it was originally known as His Majesty's establishment on Lake Huron, was a British naval and military base that existed on the shores of Penetanguishene Bay between 1817 and 1856. My name is Larry Ford. I am the program coordinator at Discovery Harbour. Discovery Harbour actually opened back in 1973, so next year will be our 50th anniversary as being a provincial historic attraction. Throughout the historical site, we have some of the buildings reconstructed, and we do have costume staff that are here to answer their questions. Our real pride, beyond, of course, the hall that we're in right now, is the officers' quarters. It is the only original building that we have on the historical site. It dates from 1836, and inside the officers' quarters we have artifacts that actually date from the time period. What we have here is the wreck of the HMS Tecumseh, which was built in Chippewa along with its sister ship, the Newash, in 1815, the spring of that year. This was a topsail schooner, and its primary purpose after the War of 1812 was to transport troops and supplies from various spots along the lower lakes before it was transported up here.
The replica ships are still floating in Penetanguishene Bay for tourists to check out. We'll hear more about them later in the show, and I found the perfect person for that.
No, I'm not just a tourist here. From 1997 to 2002, I was HMSB's captain, the smaller of the two schooners. These days, as a contractor, I look after the historic and technical side of the rigging and the maintenance of the vessels.
If you've been to Midland Harbour, you've no doubt seen this boat. It's quite unmistakable, really. It's named the MV Prescotont, and it's a private vessel, so you can't go on it, but the owner graciously allowed us to check it out. Here we are on board this beautiful vessel, the MV Prescotont. Am I saying that right?
You're saying it right.
And Paul Gaynor, you're the owner. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
So tell me about this. It's a historic boat. I can't imagine it looked like this when you got it.
It certainly didn't look like this. It was an industrial tug built by the Canadian Pacific Railroad to move rail cars between Prescott and Ogdensburg. And when I got it, it was definitely a rust bucket heading for the scrapyard.
It's from Prescott, Ontario. Okay, you probably figured that out yourself for the name. Okay, that's embarrassing. I was like, how do you say this name? Yeah, Prescott, Ontario. Okay, I got it. All right, we're fine now. I get it. So it was headed for the scrapyard. So here's a question I'm sure you got from friends and family and neighbors. Why?
Why? Yes, I do get that question a lot. And my answer is basically midlife crisis.
If this is what a midlife crisis looks like, sign me up.
Well, it was. We're running, I think they calculated around 3,000 square feet, not counting the engine room.
That's exactly double my house.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite the boat.
Yeah.
Is this single screw? Has it got thrusters, anything like that? Just
It has a thruster that we had to put in, a bow thruster, but it is single screw.
So what are we looking at performance-wise? What is this cruise at?
A nice cruise speed is about 9.5 knots.
Really? This is a giant boat, huge engine, but a pretty Spartan. It was all you need, right? You got.
That's all I need. So I got throttle. I got GPS that links to the computer underneath and the tracking software, radar, and rudder indicator, gauges for the engine, right? And I carry another laptop for backup navigation.
And you got the little marine wheel, but the steering control, you just do the little toggle?
Yeah. So I have a wheel, a toggle, and the autopilot.
What do you use more, the wheel or the toggle?
Toggle.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so much easier.
Oh my good gravy. This is cleaner than my entire boat. You're not rolling on it? Okay. Well, you know, I'm gonna clean it. It's fine, you'll see. Holy. Okay, Paul, when I buy your boat, I will be hiring a mechanic because this is taller than me.
Well, and it goes down another 2 feet too. So
what are we looking at here? How many horsepower?
This is about almost 700 horsepower at max speed. I probably use 300 or 400. That's about it. It's a Cleveland 278A V8 for each one of these is a piston. Very, very easy to use engine. Very easy to repair.
Really?
Oh yeah, very simple. I mean, you're sort of awed by it right now, but after a while, it's very, very simple.
And so you got a great spot here. You know, we got the park, and you're right downtown. But you leave the dock. This is like the engine room, as clean and beautiful as it is functioning, right?
Totally, 100%.
And so now it's all done. You're selling it.
I am.
Why?
I'd like to get something a little smaller.
Okay, understandable.
No, I'm getting on now. It's time to pass it and divest of. You know, I don't want to have it left. Have my wife have to get rid of it when I'm gone.
Well, your work is absolutely stunning. Whoever gets this is getting a real treat, and I thank you again for letting us on board.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I don't know. I might to apologize to my wife. This is looking more and more like a good investment. Our home is garbage because it's not on the water. We can't take it anywhere.
Are you getting that?
Uh-oh. Witness. Wait, cut. Safety gear is vital to have on your boat for 2 reasons, and the least of which is that you can get a ticket if the police stop you and you don't have what you need. But they're checking it, and that's a law because it can save your life. Unlikely you're ever gonna need it, and you hope that you don't, but you wanna make sure that you got everything in order before you leave. That includes checking on things that can expire, like a fire extinguisher. These don't last forever, they need to be recharged. Easy to read, green means good, red means stop, you got a problem here. Same thing with your flares. You're gonna wanna check those as well. They expire. And on my boat, some of these flares, you can see the manufacturing date, 2019. Those ones are still good, but these other ones have expired, so we need to replace them. And then you get the inflatable PFDs like this. So for me, it's like a seatbelt in a car. I don't even notice it anymore. They're comfortable, lightweight. As long as they fit good, you're good to go, right? Well, maybe not, because these work because of this CO2 canister in here. That is what is filled with air, blows it up should you need it. But much like your fire extinguisher, they have gauges to let you know if they're good or not. And I found out that actually 3 of our 5 inflatable PFDs had expired. A bit shocking for us. I'm putting this on the air to let you know that this does happen, and it's worth checking because that means this that we've been wearing is essentially useless. But instead of spending the money to replace these PFDs, because they are expensive, for a fraction of the cost, you can rearm them. So that's what I'm gonna do with these ones right here. It should be pretty straightforward. Anyone that knows me knows I'm wildly not mechanical, so if I can do this, you can do this. So, open it up, move the whistle. You can see there's a couple things going on here. That's gone. This is the automatic aspect of it, and this is the container. So first thing, we're going to unscrew, and you'll see, I don't know if the camera can see it, there's a hole in that one. Here's the new one, no hole. So it's a very basic principle. It just punctures it. All the compressed air in this has nowhere to go but shoot out into this big yellow tube and saves your life. You might be tempted, easy thing, whoop, screw it in, that's one job done. No. I don't know how many cameras we got going here. No, don't do that, because if you accidentally puncture it or open, when you take this off, it'll puncture it again. And then all of a sudden, all of our cost savings of the cheap replacement are now a double replacement, and you've got to apologize to your neighbors for swearing over the fence. So, step 1 is unscrew this cap. There's a couple key things in here. The red and the green, you can see the red is basically a spring. And the green, we want that pushed all the way down. And this yellow thing, this bobbin, should have, if we look at the new one, should be full of this white stuff, which I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. All I need to know is that that is what dissolves and has dissolved out of this one to allow this whole spring mechanism to go and fire your life jacket. So we're going to replace this. The white side goes down. So if the water comes in through the holes, it contacts that directly. Not sure the cameras can pick it up, but there's slots all the way around this. You're gonna wanna line that up in here. So you want the bobbin, go basically rest on that. There's some slots on there, some slots on here. Gonna line up the big ones. And then you're gonna wanna screw it in tight, and you'll see the green start pushing down because we are rearming the automatic aspect of it. Actually, rearming means putting the new CO2, but this is sort of the automatic trigger system is back in there. Before we put this on, we gotta worry about this, the bayonet they call it. So see, there's a hole there, and we put this in first. So it's delicate. There's a little plastic piece there because you are pulling through that. When you pull this down, it's ripping through that. So you don't want it to be big and strong, which means it's delicate to put on. Slide it in Lego style. But now you can see it's not moving. It wouldn't take much pressure to pull that and pop it. And then coming out from inside there is a little pin that punctures that. So now we are ready to put this back on here. And now we tuck it all away. Don't forget the whistle. So if we need to do a quick look, just peel the bottom. Oh, you can see the green. All right, cool. So now they are good to go, recharged, and useful again. Georgian Bay is world-renowned as one of the greatest freshwater boating destinations anywhere in the world. And right here in the southeastern tip, you've got some real gems. North of Midland is Port Severn, and that's either the start or end of the Trent Severn waterway, depending which direction you're heading. And just north of that is Honey Harbour, an amazing place and a gateway to the 30,000 islands. But those will have to wait for another day, because today I'm heading back to Penetanguishene Bay with Gordon Lacko, former captain of the HMS replica and still in charge of the historical and technical aspects of the rigging of these replica ships. There's all manner of replicas in terms of how true they are to history. On a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of historical accuracy, what would you give these?
I'd give them both an 8 or a 9. The vessels were originally built at a time in Canada's history when we just fought a savage war with the United States, who tried 5 times in 2.5 years to invade us. That was a pretty serious matter to the people who built those ships. B, the smaller one, was one of 3 transport gunboats that were built to carry lighter guns. Tecumseh was one of 2 that were built to carry very heavy guns and help defend the upper Great Lakes against the Americans if they came again. So those were different imperatives than today. Today we need to come home safely with everybody that sets out in them, and that comes first. So there were some compromises made in the vessels with the way they're ballasted, which has to do with stability, and also with regards to maintenance. Tecumseh is steel. That was unheard of for building ships in 1815 when the original of her was built. B was as a reproduction of a vessel originally built in 1817 over at Wasaga. This vessel is a composite of fiberglass and wood, and they both have pretty much the appearance that the vessels would have had then. If you took Captain Roberts from 1821 and brought him out here on this motorboat after he got over the fact that it has an engine he never would have heard of, he'd look at those and probably recognize them.
Do they still sail? Are they still seaworthy?
Well, yeah, both vessels are floating right now. They were operational until 2002 when the Ontario government's mandates changed and their sailing programs ended. We sailed both vessels all over the Great Lakes, as far away as Toronto and Chicago. And I used to stand on B's quarterdeck when I was her captain and quietly imagine impure things like where I'd take her if she was mine. I'd take that little schooner anywhere. She was a sweet little vessel.
It's still here, so there was none of these vacation mutinies.
No, we never did that. I never stole her. I used to describe this site to people as the Cold War missile silo of its era. After the war, we didn't really trust each other still, so both sides maintained defenses despite the world's first arms limitation treaty, the Rush-Bagot Agreement, which allowed vessels to be held by navies on the lakes but not to arm them. So at this place here, we had a number of vessels in the harbor, some we'd taken from the Americans during the war, and 5 that we built ourselves. The weapons were in the red building, and the ships were ready to go on a week's notice, and they waited for 54 years for another war, which never came. So on the bottom of the harbor where we are right now is the wreck of Tecumseh's sister, Nawash. And I think the fact that she and B and the others sank at their moorings out of old age is a testament to the peace between our countries. They didn't die in a blaze of combat, they died of old age, and that's a good thing.
What's your favorite spot to go?
I'd say Giant's Tomb. It's really nice to get a tan.
Oh, buddy, I do not tan, I burn. I'll end up the color of your shirt. Do you want to take it from the top again?
Sure. Thanks, dude.
You don't get paid extra for that. Here we are on Take 3. We're gonna get this done in 5-6 hours. Don't worry, we'll get out of here. Here we are on board this beautiful vessel. Okay, sir. Can I have you here? Yeah, this is.
Not first, little man.
And getting a better and better sail. I was like, well, that's my out. There's no hot tub on the deck yet. I'm gonna need to get a new license.